Today, I want to talk about the Blazers being potential suitors for Bradley Beal, and I wanted to get into some Tommy Shepard quotes from the Dunked On podcast. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. And it's your host, The Real Ed Oliver. You can follow me on Twitter at EDTOOOFLATT. So this show I have a lot to go over today. Bradley Beal, the report from Kevin O'Connor from the Ringer, reporting that that Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine are potential suitors per his sources for the Portland Trailblazers. So they're going to try to make an attempt to lure Bradley Beal in free agency, most likely through a via sign and trade. They're looking at Zach LaVine as well. I do want to talk about Tommy Shepard and some quotes that he had in the interview with Nate Duncan on the Dunked On podcast. Also, I want to do talk about a viral video that Bradley Beal was a part of, talking to his AAU team, the Bradley Beal Elite team, and then also some comments that Colin Cowherd made about former Wizard John Wall that had social media up in a rise, which I respectfully disagree with as well. And then the Wizards have some more pre-draft workouts. So I do want to get to the list of names of guys that we'll be working on with the Wizards towards the end of the show. So this is reported from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. I'm going to read you the quote right here. He says, Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine are potential targets, according to sources for the Blazers. Damian Lillard befriended Bradley Beal through their experience with Team USA, and the Wizards star has a player option for next season, so he can make his way to Portland either as a free agent or via trade. Though Bradley Beal and LaVine present some similar defensive issues as CJ McCollum did next to Damian Lillard, either of them would undeniably make the Blazers better with their shot creation. So this basically is going to be Dame and CJ 2.0 with Bradley Beal coming there, if Bradley Beal goes there, or Zach LaVine, either one. Of course, it would be an upgrade from Dame and CJ to Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine. I think those two players would be somewhat of an upgrade over CJ McCollum, but essentially it would be Dame and CJ again. Remember when Chris Porzingis liked that Instagram post? I want to say he unliked it, but the trade proposal was Bradley Beal for a first-round pick, Josh Hart, Anthony Simmons, and I want to say another younger player. And I said, hey, I was not opposed to that trade. Obviously, Bradley Beal has to sign off on a sign and trade. He has to let Tommy Shepard, of course, know, the Wizards organization, that he does not want to come back. When all signs point towards him staying, I made a video talking about the Washington Post article where they interviewed Bradley Beal. He said that he's leaning towards staying, that he loves being in DC, that he just built the basketball court for the young men, the high school kids in DC. And then remember the interview that he had post-trade deadline, after the trade deadline, where he had the cast on his wrist, saying that it's fair that he wants to stay in DC. So it's a 99% chance right now that he's staying in DC. And also you got to keep in mind, the Wizards are the only team that can offer him a 5-year max deal contract. No other team can offer them that. He played with the Wizards for 10 years. So those are the NBA rules with contracts, that, he can get that 5-year $250 million deal. He can only get a 4-year max deal with any other team. So those are the things that are in Bradley Beal's favor that he's keeping in mind for sure. He could always sign with the Wizards, and then if it doesn't work out with the Wizards and request a trade maybe a year or 2 years later, and he'll always have that 5-year $250 million, where if he signs somewhere else, it's a 4-year deal, where, of course, it's better to have that 5 years of a guaranteed contract for sure. So, but looking on the Wizards side, I said I would not be opposed if we got Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, and a first-round pick back. And Kevin O'Connor, his sources have been somewhat correct lately. He talked about Dinwiddie, saying that, teammates didn't like him, that he was a shell of himself. He was correct about that, and that, teammates didn't like him, and, Dinwiddie ended up getting traded. But we all knew that was going to happen. We all saw that happening. So some of his sources have been correct lately. So, but I would take this somewhat with a grain of salt. Does Bradley Beal want to go to the Blazers? Does he want to play with Damian Lillard? I don't see why he would not. But at the same time, he's looking at that contract in the face, and he would be the number one guy on the Wizards. and he has all the autonomy, and he has, he has all the say and he's somewhat of a GM for the Wizards. He has all the say in the Wizards move. So does he want to stay here or play with Damian Lillard? And I think at best, I don't see them being a championship team. If he plays with Damian, they would be a good team, like a playoff team for sure. But I don't see them being a championship team with the Blazers. But on the Wizards side, if they got Anthony Simons, I like Anthony Simons a lot. I compare him to Jordan Poole in a sense, where they were both, Anthony Simons was the 24th pick in the draft. Jordan Poole was the 28th or 30th pick in the draft. They're both lethal scoring two guards. Anthony Simons is 6'3", 181 pounds, so he has a similar build to Bradley Beal, but he's only 22 years old, so he's going to get stronger and bigger. But essentially, it would be kind of, if he comes here, it would be him and Porzingis as the best two players, and then Josh Hart would fill in. You still have Kuzma. You have to find a point guard, of course. But the Wizards, it wouldn't be a bad team. It's not like we're trading Bradley Beal and we're just getting picks. We're just retooling and rebuilding like the Thunder. You would still be a competitive team with Anthony Simons, Porzingis, Kuzma, Denny, Rui, Kispert, KCP would probably still be on the roster. We'll see. And then you still got to find a point guard, but you would still be competitive there. That's why I'm not opposed to that trade if it does happen. Anthony Simons was a candidate for a most improved player, jumped from 7 points per game in 2021 to 17 points per game in 2022. 3 assists, a career high in 3.9 assists per game, shot 88% from the free throw line, which is really, really good. 80% from the free throw line. He's always been a good free throw shooter. His third year in 2021, and then in 2020 he shot 82% from the free throw line as well. And he shot 40% from the 3-point line, shooting 7 threes per game. He basically shot 8 threes per game and still shot 40% from the 3-point line. So he was an elite 3-point shooter. When he played the Wizards, he went crazy. He was basically unstoppable when he played the Wizards. I know the Wizards were bad defensively, but Anthony Simons was basically unstoppable. So I do want to get to some more numbers about Anthony Simons because I do like him, and I found some numbers on him this past year, and then we'll get to the John Wall slander from Colin Cowherd, and then the Bradley Beal viral video. People disagree with him coaching up players, but before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Sakara. Feeling your best starts with what you eat. Sakara helps you live a healthy, balanced lifestyle and truly enjoy it with delicious, plant-rich transformational nutrition that builds a foundation for living in your best body. Now is the time to seek wellness, joy, and abundance in all areas of your life, starting with what you eat. With Sakara, you get nutrient-dense meals, snacks, and supplements that nourish your body without ever sacrificing taste or quality. True radiance starts on your plate, made with high-quality organic ingredients. Sakara's plant-rich transformational nutrition programs are expertly designed to deliver real results, from reduced bloat and ease digestion to clear skin and boosted energy and moods. Sakara is a wellness company anchored in food as medicine on a mission to nourish your body through the power of plants. And right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/lockedon20 or enter code lockedon20 at checkout. That's Sakara, sakara.com/lockedon20 to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/lockedon20. We have an important favor to ask you. We put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and don't like about Locked On Podcast. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes a survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. To take our audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Thanks for your help. All right, so Bradley Beal, there was a viral video of him coaching up his AAU team, Bradley Beal Elite. I feel like every year he goes viral coaching up his AAU team. I want to say the last year he was like, "You guys got to guard me," talking about his team, coaching them up, and he was very adamant, very passionate. There's a lot of expletives, but he was telling the real stuff about an NBA player. I think he's highly qualified to coach up his guys. There's no reason anybody should have a problem. Of course, everybody, a lot of people on Twitter and social media were saying, making jokes and saying that Bradley Beal's not a qualified guy to talk to his team like that. Basically, what he was telling his AAU team this past weekend was, guys are selfish and they just want to score. You have to do something else, basically saying that you have to play defense. Bradley Beal was a really good defender under Randy Whitman. He hasn't been the best defender in the world, of course, the last couple of years, but he's highly qualified to coach up any AAU team, any college team. And I really feel like when he's all said and done, when he's retired, I feel like he's going to want to come back in a game and coach and be a part of the game of basketball in some way, shape, or form for sure. So he's highly qualified, overly qualified to talk to his AAU team. and coach them any way that he wants to, give them any type of advice for sure. Because he's giving them real talk. This is a guy that's been in the league for 10 years, a 3-time All-Star, an All-NBA player, 30-point per game scorer for 2 years, 25, 5-5 guy, will go down in history, is a great player, all-time Wizard for sure. So Bradley Beal is definitely qualified. Tommy Shepard does say things like he sees things on social media that is like, oh, are we talking about the same player with Bradley Beal? And it has gotten to that point. I do think some Wizards fans and people on social media have definitely been upset with how the way the season went and the contract situations coming up. So some people have said some outlandish things about Bradley Beal, but Bradley Beal is definitely highly qualified to coach up any team and talk to his players any way they do wants. He's giving them real advice and looking out for these young men so they can make it to the NBA. So that's my take on it. And then Colin Cowherd saying that John Wall doesn't make teammates better. Draymond Green makes teammates better. Let's go over the list of guys that John Wall has gotten paid. Trevor Ariza, Otto Porter, Marto Webster, Marcin Gortat. When John Wall said he's one of the most spoon-fed bucket getters ever, John Wall, the pick and roll with Marcin Gortat, he got Marcin Gortat paid for sure. Otto Porter, that max deal, that came from a lot of John Wall shot creation, a lot of open corner threes, a lot of open threes. Trevor Ariza, when we used to call him Lord Threesa, Trevor Ariza had one of his best three-point shooting percentage seasons next to a John Wall. Bradley Beal had one of his most efficient three-point shooters. When we were saying comparing Bradley Beal to Ray Allen, he was coming off screens. That's when John Wall was creating a lot of open shots for him. Garrett Temple got paid playing next to John Wall. Got a nice deal, a nice free agent contract playing next to John Wall, hitting open corner threes and a lot of open threes. Nene, remember Nene hitting all those open jumpers, those long twos in the playoffs when we beat the Bulls in John Wall's first playoff series and Bradley Beal's first playoff series. A lot of those shots came from John Wall, those assists. So to say something like that is very outlandish. It's very outlandish. And Colin Cowherd, it looks like he's had some personal vendetta against John Wall his whole career. When John Wall first hit that Dougie, it's just like Colin Cowherd just had it out for John Wall his whole career. So it's just ridiculous. And a lot of people on social media, even John Wall, responded to the hot take from Colin Cowherd. And you don't have to pump up. And the context is he was saying Draymond Green makes teammates better, but he said John Wall and Russell Westbrook don't make their teammates better, which is an outlandish thing. Even Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal had his best statistical career. Year of his career next to Russell Westbrook. He was an all-NBA player. Paul George had one of his best years, had an MVP caliber season next to a Russell Westbrook. So you don't have to put down players to pump up a Draymond Green. Draymond Green's a great player. We get that. He does make players better. Steph Curry is just a Hall of Famer anyway, and Klay Thompson will be one of the best shooters in the NBA in history. So, those guys, I think they would be fine with or without Draymond Green for sure. But Draymond Green definitely is a huge piece to that championship roster for sure. I'm not taking anything away from Draymond Green, but you don't have to bash a John Wall and say an outlandish take like that he does not make players better. That's a terrible take from Colin Cowherd. John Wall, 9.1 career assists, 5-time NBA All-Star. So, and I forgot the numbers about Anthony Simons, just showing how good of a year he had last year without, Damian Lillard wasn't there, but that definitely helped Anthony Simons have a great year last year. And he took advantage of that, and per B-Ball Index, this is the metric that we use with Locked On. His grades, his offensive talent grades, perimeter shooting was an A+, his floater was an A+, his mid-range pull-up was an A+, his finishing was an A-, playmaking was an A-, screening was a B, offensive rebounding was a D+, and his offensive impact via offense, LeBron was an A-. So he got A+ basically across the board from perimeter shooting, his floater, mid-range pull-up. So he's a 3-level scorer that's only going to get better. Some more context. The players who have taken the hardest three-point attempts this season per B-Ball Index three-point shot quality metric was Steph Curry was number 1, Fred VanVleet was number 2, Anthony Simons was number 3, Patty Mills was number 4, Luke Kennard was number 5, and Cam Johnson was number 6, Desmond Bane number 7, Zach LaVine number 8, Trae Young number 9, Tyler Hero number 10. So that's great company right there. Steph Curry is the best three-point shooter of all time. Fred VanVleet is an elite three-point shooter. Patty Mills is an elite three-point shooter. Luke Kennard is a good three-point shooter. Desmond Bane, of course, Trae Young. So for Anthony Simmons to be listed in that list, tough three-pointers, that's something that Wes Unseld Jr. doesn't want guys to take. But, Anthony Simons is a tough shot maker. He's getting better each year. So, and then he's really good in pick and roll as well. His 65, this is another stat I found too. 65 players have 100-plus pick and roll possessions in the 2021-22 season, and Anthony Simons was tied for second in points per possession with 1.04. He was seventh in field goal efficiency with 54.4. And he was in the 92nd percentile in pick and roll possessions as well. So it shows how good Anthony Simons is going to be. and I would not mind trading for him at all if it came down to that. So, but I do want to get to the Tommy Shepard quotes here. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting, stats, and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so Tommy Shepard, he went on the Nate Duncan podcast. It's called the Dunked On Podcast. So I do want to go over some quotes here that I wrote down. I think the one that stood out to me was the goal of the organization. And he basically said the playoffs is the goal of the organization. Here's a quote. This is not word for word, but he said, there isn't a mandate that we have to win a championship next year, but to get better and get more talent. To know what ownership is expecting is that it changes every day. The purpose is to start winning and get better and get into the playoffs every year. We were on that trajectory, but injuries affected us. So he is somewhat saying that injuries, and he said that the Wizards had the most guys in jerseys due to the virus. He has multiple times said in pressers that due to injuries and the virus, that's a reason why they didn't make the playoffs. You know, Bradley Beal got hurt with the wrist injury, and I don't necessarily agree with that. A lot of teams, dealt with health and safety protocols. A lot of teams dealt with injuries as well. And I just don't say that. I think before they were even hit with health and safety protocols and Bradley Beal went out with the wrist injury, there was, a lot of turmoil with that team. There was a lot of back and forth, Davis Bertans and Denny getting in that argument, KCP and Montrezl Harrell having a locker room fight, teammates not liking Dinwiddie. That report came out. The fit with Bradley Beal and Dinwiddie just didn't work. Bertans wasn't playing well. So after the 10-3 start and the players complaining about the offense with What's Until Jr., saying that it's complicated, guys complaining about touches, just not fitting. So I wouldn't blame it on injuries and the virus. They just did not play well defensively, and a lot of guys didn't fit. Now, he did say that too. It just came down to fit as well. So those are the reasons for me, not just injuries and the virus. I don't think that's a valid excuse for why the Wizards were so bad. And that 35-point where they were up by 35, and then the collapse against the Clippers, Bradley Beal was healthy for that game. Dinwiddie was healthy for that game. Montrezl Harrell was healthy. Kuzma was in that game. A lot of their starters were in that game. Now, I know Rui wasn't there and Thomas Bryant wasn't there yet, but the main guys that they brought in the offseason, Bertans was healthy for that. A lot of guys that they brought in that offseason, were there for that game. And then saying that the goal is to make the playoffs. A lot of teams, they're looking to win a championship. The Miami Heat, Pat Riley's going to tell you a championship. The Bucks GM, he's going to tell you a championship. The Warriors GM is going to tell you a championship. Brad Stevens for the Celtics, he's going to say the goal is a championship. But Tommy Shepard, he knows where the team is, and that kind of shows you where ownership is. Ted Leonsis says we will never, ever tank. We will never rebuild, and that might be the quickest way the Wizards can get to a championship. But that's just where the Wizards are. We remember how it went with Ernie Grenfell, where if Ernie Grenfell didn't make the playoffs, he was getting fired, and then they made those, panic trades for Trevor Ariza and Bobby Portis and different guys like that, trying to reach the playoffs. So it just shows where ownership is and how the Wizards are in that purgatory, that middling spot, because, they're just trying to make the play and trying to make the playoffs, when maybe doing a rebuild or retool would push them into a championship contention a little bit faster than what they are right now. He also talked about Corey Kispert making Davis Bertans expendable. That is tough to hear after you just paid Davis Bertans a 5-year, $80 million contract. You just drafted Corey Kispert, shot 35% from the three-point line, which is not elite, but it's about league average, which is solid. But it is tough to hear that, a signing like that did not work out, and the signing with Spencer Dinwiddie did not work out either so quickly. Nate Duncan asked Tommy Shepard, do you intend to offer Bradley Beal a max deal? Tommy Shepard, he's always politically correct. He's a good talker. He's very well spoken. He talks like a politician, and he did not answer the question. He said that they have been consistent in saying that they want Bradley Beal back, and Bradley Beal has been consistent saying that he wants to be back. He said we will take care of that at the time of free agency. And he said he will not answer the question. So he's very politically correct there. We basically know it's a 99% chance that Bradley Beal is coming back, and that, of course, Tommy Shepard is offering Bradley Beal that 5-year lucrative deal. So we already know about that. So those are the quotes I got. And then also he talked about, Porzingis and Bradley Beal, the offense, that he's excited about that. The pick and roll, pick and pop, they're two elite level scorers. They're two all-star level scorers. Bradley Beal is an elite scorer, 30 points a game, multiple years. Chris Porzingis is a unicorn, post ups, high post. Wes Unseld Jr. is going to have the offense run a lot through Porzingis at that high post, similar to Nikola Jokic. So he's excited, excuse me, about that, about the possibility, about the thought of Bradley Beal and Chris Porzingis playing together, which should be a solid offense there. He also talked about finding a point guard. He said they're looking to find a point guard via the draft or free agency or via trade. We have some free agents here that can come back and fill the point guard void. So I don't really see that, that starting. You got Sato that could come back as a free agent. Howell Net as a free agent. Ish Smith has a team option, but I don't see one of those three guys coming back as a starter. So that was an interesting quote from Tommy Shepard. And then also, finding a point guard via the draft. He already said that they don't want to use the draft to find a starting point guard. So that was interesting there by Tommy Shepard. Of course, he's not playing his cards. He said he wants to keep his cards close to the vest. He said that he doesn't like to have guys' names and trade rumors when, there were some guys. It's just a part of the business. There were guys' names and trade rumors. Of course, when John Wall was traded for Russell Westbrook, his name was definitely in the news for trade rumors as well. But it's a part of the business. Dinwiddie's names was in trade rumors, and Montrezl Harrell, Bertans, of course, different things like that. But it's just the nature of the business. So that's what he said as well. So the main things that stood out to me was, of course, and then he also said the priority of this offseason is to get better defensively. So those were some interesting quotes from Tommy Shepard right there. And if you want to listen to it, it's on the Nate Duncan podcast. On the Dunked On podcast. So, and then lastly, the workouts that are coming up. Jaden Hardy is the headliner of the workout on Tuesday. The other guys is Philandrius Fleming, who is a guard, 6'5" from Florida. Another guy is Anthony Polite, who's a 6'6" guard, 214 pounds out of Florida State. Another guy is Taz Sherman, 6'4", 190 pounds from West Virginia. Colin Welp from UC Irvine, a forward, 6'9", 225 pounds. Isaiah Whaley is the last guy on the list, a forward, 6'9", 225 pounds from UConn. So those are the guys. I had to do my research. I do know, of course, about Jaden Hardy. I wouldn't mind the Wizards picking him at pick 10. I know it's a reach, but he is a bucket getter. He's a three-level scorer. He's compared to Bradley Beal and Buddy Hield. He can shoot the lights out. Now, he didn't shoot the ball well for the G League Ignite this past season, but he shot 88% from the free throw line. He averaged 17 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. The free throw line, if you correlate free throw shooting with three-point shooting and just your shooting trajectory in general, that bodes well for Jaden Hardy. So I like him a lot. And the Wizards, they haven't drafted a microwave scorer in a long time, a professional scorer, similar to, a Jordan Clarkson, a Jamal Crawford, Cam Thomas, guys who can just come in and score. And he's athletic as well. He can finish around the rim and finish through contact and finish with physicality. And he can really handle the ball as well. He can create and get guys off balance and create separation off the bounce, step backs, in and outs, crossovers, all kinds of stuff. He has a bag where he can score. He's a professional scorer. So I like Jaden Hardy a lot. If they trade back, I can see the Wizards getting him. And if they do reach and really fall in love and get him at pick 10, I would not blink an eye at all. I would not be mad at that. But I just want to thank you guys for listening and making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA from the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the NBA Finals. Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. I want to thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell on YouTube and subscribe.